The stars above the galaxy city always looked the same. They shined bright, cold, and far away. But inside the palace of Lady Serath, the most powerful alien billionaire of the Orion sector, there was no peace. She had more wealth than anyone could imagine. She owned planets, ships, armies, and rare treasures collected from across the stars. But in her heart she carried a wound that no gold or power could heal. Her only daughter, Leora, was beautiful, strong, and kind. She was meant to continue the great Serath family line, but years ago alien doctors gave a cruel verdict. They told Lady Serath that her daughter was infertile. No child would ever come from her blood. No heir would ever be born to inherit the empire. The news broke the mighty lady. She did not cry in front of others, for she was too proud. In public she smiled, she ruled, she gave commands. But in secret she felt empty. At night she would sit by the window, looking at the stars, asking herself if all her power meant anything, when her family name would die with her. Still, she loved her daughter with all her heart. Leora was her jewel, her comfort. She told herself, even if no child comes, my daughter is enough. But time moved on. Rivals whispered behind her back. Enemies in the council said, the Serath line is ending. Soon her empire will fall. Some even smiled at the thought. One evening, everything changed. Lady Serath sat in her grand hall, surrounded by glowing crystals and alien servants who bowed at her command. Leora entered the hall slowly, her face pale but her eyes shining with a strange light. She looked nervous but also determined. "Mother," she said softly. Lady Serath looked up. She noticed something different about her daughter. There was a glow, a secret hidden behind her words. "What troubles you, child?" the mother asked. Leora hesitated, twisting her hands. Her voice trembled. I must tell you something. It is impossible. It will sound like a dream, but it is real." Lady Serath narrowed her eyes. She had faced wars, betrayals, assassins, and broken treaties. Nothing could surprise her anymore. At least that's what she believed. "Speak," she commanded. The hall was silent. Even the servants stopped moving. The glowing crystals hummed faintly, filling the air with quiet energy. Leora stepped closer. "Mother," she whispered, "I am pregnant." The words struck the hall like thunder. For a moment there was no sound. Lady Serath's heart froze in her chest. She thought she had heard wrong. "What did you say?" she asked, her voice sharp. "I am pregnant," Leora repeated louder this time. "I carry a child." Lady Serath stood up slowly, her long robe sweeping across the crystal floor. Her eyes blazed with anger, disbelief, and shock. "Do not joke about such things," she snapped. "You were declared infertile." "It is not possible." Leora shook her head. "It is true. I swear it. I feel the life inside me. The doctors were wrong. Or something has changed," the servants gasped. Some whispered in fear. Others stared at Leora as if she was touched by the gods. Lady Serath felt her knees weaken, but she forced herself to stay strong. She was not just a mother. She was a ruler, a leader, a queen of commerce and war. But this news tore through all her armor. Her mind raced. Was it a trick? Was her daughter lying? Or was this some kind of dark science? Who was the father? She grabbed her daughter's shoulders, her voice low and fierce. "Tell me, child. How is this possible? Who did this?" Leora only lowered her eyes. "Mother, I cannot explain." "Not yet, but you must believe me. This is real." The mother's hands shook. The hall felt colder, darker. Her entire empire, her life, her future, all of it now rested on a secret her daughter carried. And in that moment, Lady Serath realized something. Whether this was a blessing or a curse, nothing would ever be the same again. The stars outside the palace still shined, cold and distant. But inside, a storm had begun. The silence in the great hall stretched like a shadow. Lady Serath's heart pounded, each beat louder than the last. The words of her daughter echoed in her mind again and again. "I am pregnant." For years, the doctors of 3 different star systems had confirmed it was impossible. They ran tests, studied her daughter's DNA, and declared the Serath bloodline broken. Yet here stood Leora, trembling but glowing with a strange, almost holy light. Lady Serath pulled her hands away, her sharp gaze searching every detail of her daughter's face. Was it madness? Was it a trick of some hidden enemy? She had seen political plots dressed as miracles before. "Do not play with me, child," the mother warned, her voice low and dangerous. "If this is a lie, it will break us both." But Leora did not flinch. Instead, she placed her hand gently on her stomach. A faint shimmer of golden light pulsed beneath her skin, as if something inside answered her touch. The servants gasped in fear. One dropped a crystal bowl and it shattered across the floor. No one moved to clean it. All eyes were on Leora. Lady Sereth felt the world tilt. That glow was not normal. It was not human, nor was it of her people's alien kind. It was something beyond science. Who is the father? Lady Sereth demanded. Her voice cracked like thunder. Leora lowered her head, her lips trembling. Mother, he is not from our world. The hall filled with whispers. Some servants crossed themselves in alien symbols of protection. Others pressed their foreheads to the floor, terrified of the unknown. Not from our world? Lady Sereth repeated slowly, each word heavy as stone. Do you mean another species? Leora's eyes met hers, bright with both fear and courage. He is not only another species, Mother. He is something greater, something that cannot be explained by science or council law. Lady Sereth staggered back a step, her mind racing. She had dealt with alien leaders, traitors, smugglers, and enemies. She had made allies out of machines and enemies out of kings. But never, never had her own daughter spoken with such mystery. Show me proof, she demanded. Without hesitation, Leora closed her eyes. The golden light spread wider across her stomach, pulsing in rhythm like a heartbeat. The glow filled the hall, wrapping the air with warmth and an energy that hummed deep in the bones. The servants fell to their knees. One whispered, "The child is not mortal." Lady Sereth's breath caught. This was no lie, no trick. Something inside her daughter was alive, something impossible. Her mind battled itself. If this was true, then the Sereth line was not ending. It was reborn. But at what cost? What blood flowed inside this child? Could it be trusted? Or was it the seed of destruction planted by an unseen enemy? Leora, the mother whispered, her voice trembling for the first time in years. Tell me the truth. Who gave you this child? Her daughter shook her head. I cannot reveal his name, Mother. Not yet. If I do, the galaxy itself will burn. The hall grew colder. Lady Sereth's eyes narrowed. Do you know what your silence means? Rivals will use this. They will call you cursed. They will say our blood is tainted. They will demand the child be destroyed before it is even born. Tears formed in Leora's eyes, but her voice was steady. Let them talk. Let them threaten. I will protect my child. This life was given to me for a reason. I do not know if it is destiny or fate, but I will not let anyone take it. Her courage shocked the mother. Leora, once gentle and fragile, now stood tall like a warrior. There was power in her voice, power that did not come from wealth or armies, but from something far deeper. For a long moment, Lady Sereth said nothing. She studied her daughter as if seeing her for the first time. The girl who was once broken by the word infertile now carried herself like the bearer of a secret flame. But outside the palace walls, whispers were already spreading. Spies and advisors would carry the news into the galaxy. Soon the Council of Worlds would demand answers. Soon enemies would gather at her gates. Lady Sereth clenched her fists. The empire she built was no longer in danger of dying quietly. It was about to be thrown into war, chaos, and revelation. She raised her head high, her eyes cold as steel. Then we must prepare, she said. If this child is real, then it will shake the galaxy. We will not be ready unless we act first. Leora opened her mouth to speak, but before she could answer, the palace lights flickered. A low hum vibrated through the crystal walls. Something vast and powerful moved in orbit above their world. The mother and daughter turned together toward the sky windows. A shadow, larger than any ship in the fleet, had appeared. The impossible revelation was only the beginning. The shadow above the palace hung like a nightmare. Larger than any Sereth warship, it blocked the stars themselves. Its outline was strange, neither human nor alien, but something older, more advanced. The crystal walls of the great hall trembled as the giant vessel moved silently in orbit. Lady Sereth clenched her fists, forcing her voice to remain calm. Shields up. No ship enters my skies without my command. Her servants scattered, rushing to activate defenses. But deep down she knew. This ship was not here to obey her laws. Beside her, Leora whispered, her voice full of both fear and strange longing. He has come. The mother froze. Her sharp eyes turned toward her daughter. You know this ship? Leora said nothing. Her silence was louder than words. Moments later, the palace medics arrived carrying glowing scanners. They surrounded Leora, running tests, checking the impossible pregnancy. The results appeared on crystal screens. Every medic gasped. One stammered, "Lady Serath, the child is real, but its DNA," his voice faltered, eyes wide with terror. "It is unknown, a fusion of your daughter's bloodline and something beyond all recorded species." The mother's chest tightened. This was no simple pregnancy. It was a mystery that defied science itself. "Speak plainly," she snapped. The medic swallowed hard. "This child could rewrite biology. It is not just a life, it is evolution." Whispers filled the hall. Evolution. The word spread like wildfire. Some bowed as if in worship. Others trembled as though Judgment Day had arrived. Lady Serath turned back to her daughter. "Tell me the truth. Who gave you this child? Who commands that ship above us?" Leora looked into her mother's eyes, tears sliding down her cheeks. "Mother, he saved me. When the doctor said I was broken, when hope was gone, he appeared. He touched me and the emptiness inside was gone. But he is not like us. He is more." The hall doors slammed open. Advisors stormed in, faces pale. "Lady Serath," one shouted. "The Council of Worlds has been informed. Rivals demand you present the child to them for testing. They say it may be a weapon." Another added, "Your enemies already call it an abomination. They want your daughter arrested." The mother's blood boiled. These vultures had always waited for her to show weakness. Now they wanted to use her daughter against her. "No one touches my blood," she roared, her voice echoing through the crystal hall. The advisors fell silent. Even the servants lowered their heads, trembling. But deep inside, Lady Serath knew the danger was real. If the council declared the child a threat, her empire would collapse. Armies would march. Fleets would burn her planets, and yet, when she looked at her daughter, she saw not weakness but strength. The glow from her stomach pulsed again, brighter now, like a heartbeat shaking the air. Then, without warning, one of the medics collapsed to his knees. His eyes rolled back, his body shaking violently. The others rushed to him, but he screamed in a voice that was not his own. "The child is ours. The bloodline will serve us." Gasps echoed through the hall. The man's body convulsed, then went still, lifeless on the floor. A cold silence followed. Lady Serath's skin prickled. That was no ordinary seizure. That was possession. Someone or something had spoken through the medic's body. Her mind spun with questions. Who were us? What power reached through her palace to claim her grandchild? Before she could speak, Leora grabbed her mother's arm. "Mother, listen. They are watching us. They know the child exists. They will try to take it. But he promised me. He promised he would protect us." "Who promised?" Lady Serath hissed. "The father? The one commanding that ship?" Her daughter's silence was enough. Outside, the shadowed vessel pulsed with strange lights. It was not attacking, not yet. It waited like a predator circling its prey. Lady Serath turned to her advisors. "Seal the palace. No one enters. No one leaves. If the council wants war, let them come, but they will not take my daughter." One advisor bowed, but the others hesitated. Fear flickered in their eyes. Some whispered, "The child is cursed. If we protect it, we all die." The mother's rage boiled. "Cowards!" she shouted. "Do you not see? This is no curse. This is power! If my daughter carries the future, then we will hold it, even if it burns the galaxy." The advisors fell silent, afraid of her fury, but in the shadows of the hall, one pair of eyes glowed faintly. A spy, a traitor. The news would not stay hidden for long. The revelation was clear now. The child was not just a miracle. It was the spark of something greater, something that both the council and the shadow ship wanted for themselves. And Lady Serath realized, with chilling certainty, that the war for her bloodline had already begun. The Crystal Palace stood in silence, but the galaxy outside was no longer quiet. The shadow ship in orbit did not leave. It lingered, silent and menacing, like a predator waiting for the right moment to strike. Every passing hour filled the palace with dread. Lady Serath had locked the palace gates. Armies stood guard. Shields burned with blue fire, covering the towers. But even with all her wealth, weapons, and power, she felt something slipping beyond her control. Whispers ran through the empire. The Serath heiress carried a child that should not exist. Some called it a miracle. Others called it a monster. And whispers in the galaxy were more dangerous than fleets. Inside the grand hall, Lady Serath stood tall, but her advisors grew restless. She could see fear in their eyes. They bowed, but their loyalty trembled like glass. At last one advisor broke. He stepped forward, voice shaking. "My lady, forgive me, but the council has sent a demand. They say the child must be surrendered to them for study. If you refuse, they will cut trade, call sanctions, and gather fleets. Your empire cannot stand against the galaxy alone." Lady Sereth's voice turned to ice. "I will never surrender my blood." The advisor bowed, but his eyes betrayed doubt. Leora, sitting nearby, looked weaker. The golden glow around her stomach grew brighter each day, pulsing like a star being born. Sometimes it filled the entire hall with light. Sometimes it shook the walls with low vibrations. The unborn child was not normal, it was powerful. At night, when the palace grew quiet, strange things began to happen. Lights flickered without reason. Servants swore they heard whispers in languages unknown. One soldier vanished during patrol. Only his armor left behind, glowing faintly with golden dust. Fear spread faster than truth. One night, Lady Sereth was awakened by screams. Assassins had entered the palace. They moved like shadows dressed in black armor, carrying plasma blades. Their target was not treasure, not power. It was Leora. Lady Sereth rushed through the corridors, her own guards clashing with the intruders. Blades struck shields, plasma burned crystal walls, sparks rained like falling stars. The sound of battle echoed through the palace. She found her daughter in her chamber. 3 assassins surrounded her, blades raised. Leora clutched her stomach, eyes wide with terror. But the glow from her body surged outward. A wave of golden light exploded from her, throwing the assassins against the walls. Their armor cracked, their bodies broken. The child had defended itself. Lady Sereth stood frozen for a moment, staring at the carnage. Her daughter had not moved, yet the power inside her had killed trained killers with a single pulse. This child was not only alive, it was already dangerous. Leora looked up at her mother, her face pale. "Mother, I cannot control it. It acts on its own." The words chilled Lady Sereth more than any assassin's blade. The next morning, betrayal struck. The advisor who had begged her to surrender the child vanished. Hours later, the council released a broadcast across the stars. "The Serath heiress carries an abomination. For the safety of all worlds, it must be taken and destroyed." Outrage filled the halls. Some of her advisors swore loyalty. Others tried to flee. The empire trembled on the edge of collapse. But Lady Sereth did not bend. She stood before her throne, her voice echoing across the palace. "Let the galaxy come. Let them bring their fleets, their armies, their fear. We will not bow. This child is not their weapon. This child is ours." Her words lit a fire in those who still believed. Her loyal guards raised their blades. But even as they shouted, the walls of the palace shook again. The shadow ship above finally moved. Its lights glowed brighter, symbols shifting across its hull like living fire. It was not a warship of any kind known in the galaxy. It was something older, stranger, something that carried the weight of forgotten ages. And then, for the first time, it spoke. A deep voice thundered through the palace, echoing in every chamber, every corridor, every mind. "The child is ours. Surrender it or watch your empire fall." The crystal walls shook. Servants fell to the floor, clutching their heads. Even the strongest guards trembled. Lady Sereth stood firm, her teeth clenched, her fists tight. "Never," she whispered, but her heart knew the truth. The battle was no longer about politics or pride. The child inside her daughter had become the center of a war that stretched far beyond the galaxy she knew. And somewhere inside her, a voice whispered the question she feared most. Was the child truly a savior? Or the beginning of the end? The shadow ship's voice still echoed through the crystal palace. "The child is ours. Surrender it or watch your empire fall." The words shook every wall, every heart. Even the strongest soldiers bowed their heads in fear. But Lady Sereth stood tall, her eyes like burning steel. "No," she whispered. "No one takes my blood." Outside, alarms screamed as fleets from the Council of Worlds appeared in the sky. Dozens of warships, their weapons glowing, formed a blockade around the planet. The galaxy had come for her child. Inside the palace, Leora lay weak, the golden glow around her stomach flickering like fire in the wind. She held her mother's hand, whispering, "It is happening faster, Mother. The child is growing stronger." "I can feel it." Lady Sereth clenched her jaw. Her empire stood on the edge of destruction. Betrayal within, enemies without, and above them all, the silent ancient ship waiting like a god. Then, Chaos erupted. A blast tore through the palace shields. Soldiers screamed as council strike teams descended, armed with heavy weapons. The halls of crystal became a battlefield. Plasma fire lit the corridors. Loyal guards fell one by one. Lady Sereth grabbed a blade and fought with her own hands. Her robe burned, her skin cut, but she did not stop. She struck down intruders with fury, screaming, "You will not touch her!" But wave after wave came. The palace shook. Towers crumbled. The empire itself was cracking apart. And then, the child acted. As Leora cried out in pain, the glow from her body burst into a storm. Golden light exploded through the palace, throwing invaders against the walls. Weapons melted in their hands. The very air screamed with power. Everyone froze, soldiers, servants, even Lady Sereth. The unborn child's heartbeat thundered like war drums, shaking the planet. Then came a voice. Not the ship, not the council. A voice that came from inside the palace, from the unborn child itself. "We are here." Every person collapsed to their knees, clutching their heads. Visions flashed in their minds, burning stars, broken worlds, ancient wars long forgotten. They saw beings made of light and shadow, too vast to understand. And in the center of it all, the child. Lady Sereth staggered, gripping the throne for balance. "What are you?" she whispered. The voice inside every mind answered, "We are the first and the last. We are the future of your kind. We are more than blood, more than flesh. We are destiny." Leora screamed, her body glowing brighter, almost unbearable to look at. Her skin cracked with golden light, as if something inside was trying to break free. The shadow ship outside pulsed with symbols. Its voice thundered again, full of command. "The vessel is ready. Bring the child." Council ships opened fire, but their blasts bent away from the palace, swallowed by unseen energy. No weapon could touch the glowing walls anymore. Lady Sereth's heart raced. She had wanted an heir. She had begged the stars for her family line to survive. And now she realized she had asked for something she could not control. Her daughter clutched her hand, eyes wide with both fear and love. "Mother, I don't know if I can survive this." Lady Sereth pulled her close. "You will. I will not lose you." But deep inside, she knew she might already be too late. The palace floor cracked. Golden light poured upward, forming a pillar that reached into the sky, connecting the palace to the shadow ship above. The child was calling to it. The ship answered. The ground shook as massive doors opened in its hull. A silhouette stepped out. A figure tall, cloaked in shadow and light, neither alien nor human. His presence bent reality itself. Every soldier stopped fighting. Every weapon fell silent. The galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. Leora's voice broke the silence, trembling but clear. "Mother, this is him." Lady Sereth turned, her chest tight, her soul shaking. She looked upon the figure, the one who had touched her daughter, the one who had defied science, the one who had given her bloodline new life. The figure raised his head, eyes glowing like twin suns. His voice rolled across the palace, calm and terrible. "Lady Sereth, I am here for my child." The mother's hand tightened on her blade. Around her, her empire crumbled. Before her stood a being who could unmake worlds. Her choice would decide not only her family's fate, but the fate of the galaxy itself, and the story ended. Not with peace, not with war, but with a single heartbeat. A heartbeat that promised everything would change.